Hello and welcome to some more creative watercolours, and this time we're going to be moving more towards making a landscape, or in this case a seascape, but using the same techniques of loose colours flowing onto the page as we've been doing in the more abstract exercises. So what I've done this time is I've taped up some rectangles with masking tape on the paper, and over there's a couple of squares. Mixed bag of masking tape, as I can't buy any at the moment and I've got odds and ends, but lay it down quite firmly until you've got some clean shapes. You can fill a whole page with these shapes if you want to. And I've just done two long thin ones and two square ones. Today I'm using my plate, my studio paints, which I mix on the plate. I squeeze the paints around the edge, keep the blues together, reds and yellows together more or less, and then I can pull the paint down and mix the colours in the palette. Colours always mix much better on ceramic than plastic, and the ceramic palettes you buy tend to be a little bit tiny. So at the end of the day I can clean out the middle but keep the squeezed out paints on the edge, which they then just dry out, which is fine because then you can wake them up again. And then occasionally I top them up when I need to top up the crimson there. So I'm going to keep the idea of a seascape in mind for this. So at the top of the page I'm going to start with some sky colour. Now I'm going to pretend, you have to pretend that the masking tape isn't there. Take the paint right across it. Pull out some more, let's get that colour stronger. Nice and wet and fluid, right across the tape. There we go. And then I'm going to bring in a little bit of crimson. Overlap that with the blue so that you've got the two colours mingling on the page. But also it's important to leave white spaces again. So I'm just going to skid the brush across the paper. If it's nice paper this will work well. Take it down right across the tape. Don't stop just before the tape or it won't work. That's probably enough for some sky. Now I'm going to do the sea, and for this I'm going to get a dark blue, a bit of indigo. I don't mind that it's mixing in with those other colours. Now here I'll be careful because the sky's still wet, so if I touch my brush now into the sky I won't get a clean edge. So I'm just going to, at the moment, this is not meant to be realistic. If I was trying to be realistic I'd bring the sky down into the sea and leave it to dry, but for this I'm just going to leave a little bit of white edge there. Some other blues going on. So you don't have to stir colours to mix them, they will wander around and talk to each other quite nicely. So right across both pages, and as we come down I'm going to change to a lighter blue, partly by putting more water with it, so wet brush, bringing it down. Not going too far. I want it to stop about there. That'll do. It's a good idea to push your brush round and round and make different marks. It's too easy to just go from side to side and you end up with just stripes really. But you try pushing your brush in different directions. The brush won't mind. Now we're going on to the beach. Naples yellow is a wonderful colour. It's this lovely kind of smoky, oops, making it mucky there, this smoky yellow here. Quite nice with a bit of crimson in. Keeping it on the other side of the plate to the blues. Look at that, perfect beach colour. Use any other yellow, raw sienna's quite good if you haven't got Naples. Again, I'm pushing the brush in circles now just to get that raggedy edge of wet sand. Drop a bit of crimson in. That's stage one. Again, if there's too much water sitting around, normally with watercolours you'd work at a slight slope anyway, but it's easier for this to keep it all flat for the camera angle. Let's get some of that puddle off. That'll do. So you can wipe bits of wet paint off if you've forgotten to leave a cloud and you want a cloud, just put one back in. Now I'm going to leave that a minute And let's look at the squares. For this, I'm just going to wipe this out. Start again, but not touching any of the squeezed out paint at the side. You might find this far too messy for you. Some people love this method and some people find it just too out of control. It works really well if you're working with a few colours, which is what I tend to do. If you're a botanical painter and you want lots and lots of different tubes, then this won't work so well. You might like to get those little dishes that you're supposed to put nibbles in. They're quite good. So here's our, let's do it that way. Here's our squares. Let's put some more dramatic colours in there. Let's go sort of really strong crimson, how about that? And then some blue at the top. Again, just a bit. But let's get some yellow in now. Let's make it more sunsetty. Some aureolin. Bit of whatever's around. How about that? Oh, that's nice. Again, it's nice not to cover everything up, which I seem to have done. Never mind. Quite a thundery sky there. Take some of that off. While it's still very wet, you can put more colours in. That'll do. See what that does. And then back to the horizon. I'm not going to put a beach in this one, there isn't space. I'm just going to have the lurid sunset over the sea. So just experiment. What have you got to lose? It's only paper. Nobody dies. If you don't like it, do another one. You can tip it around, make the colours run. And it's going to look messy while the tape is on, but that's the fun bit. Now there's nothing I can do with those except put them to one side to leave them to dry, which I will do. And here's one I did earlier, which is now dry and got nice and pale. So the first layer is only ever just setting the scene, putting the background on. And let me just get myself some space in here. Using a nice big brush today. This is a number 10 Aquafine Dale Rowney. So it's sable, but they're very good value, these brushes. Right, I'm going to get the blue again. And just lay it over that purple at the top in places, leaving bits showing through. This is exactly what we were doing in the abstract squares, but with just a bit more in mind to what they might be. That's enough blue. Let's get down some crimson. Just make some of those distant clouds pink. If you're putting red in the sky, it really helps if it's crimson rather than red. Cadmium red is just a bit too heavy. That's quite nice. Experiment. But what this does is it shows that what you don't cover up then shines through quite nicely. Okay, now I can reinforce the horizon. Some more blues. I don't mind that there's that bit of white there, that looks okay. I don't want to take that dark blue too far. A little goes a long way, these strong colours. I might just leave some white bits. The kind of wavy lines here might go well. Use the tip of the brush. Again, a little goes a long way. That will do. Now the beach has gone nice and pale and sandy, and I'm just going to give it a little bit more red. A bit more colour. Soften the edge a bit. So that's two layers in. And what you can do is leave that to dry and then go back, and I might reinforce that a little bit and add some layers. But I don't want to have to sit and watch paint dry, so what I'll show you is what you do when you've finished laying paint on. This is the really fun bit. You take the tape off and a bit of magic happens. Take it off very carefully so it doesn't pull the paper. Much easier to do with when the paint's dry, believe me. I'll do it carefully. Here we go. What you get is the makings of two rather lovely small seascapes, which you can then cut out and make into and frame or make into bookmarks. But there's more I can do to that, but not while it's wet. I can then get the pens out and draw into it. But you can see how much depth you can get just with 2 layers of paint. I've got a square one here that I did earlier, so I'll just finish that, and then that's going to be enough for today. Let's get the horizon nice and dark. A few lines just to show the sea, that's enough. Let's deepen up that sky right at the top, just to give a sense of perspective. How about that? Thunderclouds coming. If you don't like these hard edges that you get when you put paint on top of paint, just get a wet brush and soften them. I think I'll put one more finishing touch in there. Let's get a little tiny brush, put a red sail on the horizon, how about that? It's spreading into the sea, but that doesn't matter too much. Right, take the tape off this one. Sometimes you do too much to these things. Sometimes if you've got your brush strokes quite fluid, they can be quite effective, just kept really simple. You can start small with these and make them into cards, and then build your confidence and use these techniques in larger pictures. There you go. 3 almost complete seascapes. Thank you very much. More later. Bye bye.